So what's going on, YouTube? It's Valsa, and today I thought I'd talk to you about a war pet for a particular strategy that's good in the Roots of War. So a little while ago, a player wrote me and he asked me about, hey, what's the best war pet for, a bunch of different situations. And the last situation was for a garrison in Roots of War. And his question was kind of like multiple choice, like here are the three pets I have, which one should I choose? But actually, the best pet for this tactic is a little bit interesting, and I thought I'd share that with you today. So if you don't know, and you probably do by now, this new strategy developed, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, where in the Roots of War, and I gotta stress, only in Roots of War, people would put Garwood Kuma as their garrison captains. And the reason are, these are probably the two most survivable heroes in the game. They actually synergize pretty well together. They don't really win the trade, but in Roots of War, you don't care about winning the trade, right? In Roots of War, and in particular the Roots of War League, you're trying to, win the match. The match is only an hour long. If you have a mature account, you never run out of troops in an hour. So you don't really care about winning the trade. You care about taking and holding the buildings. And what's great about these two is not only, they hold the building, which is just intrinsically good, right? You get more points, your enemy gets less points. But it also gives your side a better chance to get reinforcements to that building and hold it indefinitely. Like we saw in the high level Roots of War League matchups, some of these buildings would be taken for the entire match, and the other side, even if a very strong alliance, could not break the Garwood Kuma, for the duration of the match because they're just that tanky. Okay, and I think that's a great strategy. And the talent build, the artifacts, it feels all pretty straightforward. But one thing I haven't seen talked about is what pet do you want to use for these two? And the answer is kind of surprising. When you keep in mind that the only thing you care about is living, you don't care about winning the trade, you don't really even care about doing damage to the enemy. I mean, you'd like to deter swarmers or whatever, but since you're prioritizing just survival among everything else, the actual answer for your best pet is the Friendship Bear, also known as the Stripe Bear, all right? So the Stripe Bear, it has found its use. What does this thing do? Anytime your Legion is healed by your hero skill, you get an HP boost for 5 seconds. Now this HP boost is affected by strength and obviously the star level of the skill. You can see here it's just, basically, around half a percentage point. Okay, that's not very much. But keep in mind, this is a 0-star talent I have on here. Let's take a look if you get this all the way up to 3 stars. At 3 stars with my strength, it increases to about 2.25% for every 100 healing factor you do. Alright, that actually starts to be pretty significant. So let's take a look here at our heroes. And we'll start with Garwood here because he is the one that's more associated with healing. Alright, so 1,400 times 2.5%, so that's, what is that, 35%? Not a math major, but something like that. So that's pretty good, right? 35% HP boost for 5 seconds, not bad. What about Kuma? Well, Kuma's not really associated with healing, but he does healing every 10 seconds, so it's a fixed hard 10 seconds. He gets a healing factor 50 plus a healing factor 100, and that second one scales with the infantry HP bonus. So actually, this is pretty nice too. It's an additional tick. It's not going to be as good as Garwood, but it is a nice tick in and of itself. And the other nice things about these two heroes, when you pair them together, Garwood's heal goes off every rage cycle, okay? Kuma's heal goes off every 10 seconds hard-coded. The rage cycle in combat, it's going to be faster than 10 seconds, so these two heals are going to desync over a long battle, which is perfect for the Stripe Bear because you want these things occurring literally 5 seconds apart, so you can always have the effect of the Stripe Bear going on. Okay, so we have the Stripe Bear. Now, the thing to keep in mind about the Stripe Bear is its attributes aren't evenly distributed, right? The Stripe Bear has great strength and great endurance, pretty good agility, pretty good intelligence, and actually pretty poor spirit and luck. Now, you can see on the Stripe Bear, I caught a robust body with this at 1 star. Okay, hey, Legion hit points, that's perfect. I'd love Legion hit points on my Stripe Bear for this march. You would, but the problem is this is a spirit-based skill, and I have an S-tier spirit with 174, right? So it's maybe not the greatest choice. Now, I do have 8 slots here, so I'll probably keep it because there's just not that many great choices. But if you have a Stripe Bear with fewer slots, Legion hit points is actually one of the things you'll cut. Okay, so what skills do you want on this pet? Well, obviously you want the talent skill. So let's take a look at the unique skills for the Stripe Bear, right? We have Intense Friendship. Intense Friendship, basically, it's sort of like Intense Counter-Strike. It gives you a buff, which makes you take less damage from enemy war pets. That's okay. It's a good effect. It's certainly unplanned for what you're trying to do. And what are you trying to do? Just survive. So this helps that. The problem I find is intense friendship's pretty expensive. Let's take a look. Let's say I want to buy one from the pet shop store here at 2 stars. Intense friendship's going to cost me a little bit more than 13,000 coins. Okay, every server's different and your prices may vary, but I think you're going to find it somewhere around here. To me, that's a bit pricey for that effect. I don't know, if you're trying to win your row league, it might be worth considering, but I don't recommend it. Okay, what about the Amber skill? Advanced Friendship. It extends the duration of the buff. That is pretty good. Now you can see it says every 250 agility, extends it by 1 second, but this is a 0 star at 3 stars, and it's an Amber skill, so it's always going to be 3 stars. It's every 98 agility. So you want to take a look at your pet and see if you hit a key breakpoint here. Like, I got a pretty good roll, but my agility is actually pretty terrible, so I'd only get 1 additional second of that. You can get up to, I think, 304 agility on this pet, so you need 297 to max it out. I don't know, again, like, this is a good effect, but it's an Amber skill, and spending Amber on this pet, like, Amber's such a valuable resource. I'm not sure I would do it, but if you're really going all in on the row pet, this is a better skill, I think, than Intense Friendship. Okay. So other than the unique skills, what should we look at? Well, I think you want to prioritize looking at the skills based on the attributes of the pet, right? So you don't really want to look at Spirit and Luck until you've got nothing else. Let's start with Strength and Endurance, all right? And when we're talking about strength, there's not a lot to go on here, right? All the strength skills are pretty much aggressive focused with one exception, and we don't care about aggression. We just care about survival. So Tooth and Claw, Fatal Bite, throw them to the side. Look, Fierce Attack would work on the pet, but like, we're not going to have anything else synchronizing, doing more DPS with the pet. We don't want to do damage. We want to survive, so we're skipping Fierce Attack. Like Manic Might, Shield Breaker, all these things, they basically increase the damage your Legion does. That's not our plan, so we're going to skip these. Okay, so Strength, it is a good stat for us, but it's not really on plan. We're going to skip the Strength skills for now. Okay, our other really good stat is Endurance, and we've got a lot to choose from there. Okay, Endurance, let's start with Counter-Strike, because this is an interesting choice. Remember, Counter-Strike does not count as a pet attack, it counts as a Legion attack, and every Counter-Strike counter-attack that it triggers can trigger all the other synergies that your Legion normally has. Now, there's not a ton of counterattack synergies in the Garwood-Kuma pairing, but there is one important one in the talent build, and I do recommend taking this talent. So I do think Counter-Strike probably still is a good choice, okay? I already talked about Intense Friendship. I think we're going to skip that. But then we have a couple other really good choices here. Terra Barrier increases Legion defense. Yes, absolutely, let's grab that. Bristles increases attack mitigation, 100% on plan. I love that. All right, Heart Wall, we get a shield. We're not really into shields. And Determined Heart, our shield effect. We don't have a shield effect unless we buy Heart Wall, so we're skipping these two. Like I said, Intense Counter-Strike, it's sort of similar to Intense Friendship. It's expensive. I don't like it. So let's go with Counter-Strike, Terra Barrier, and Bristles on this pet. In fact, I'll put them on right now. Agility, kind of like Strength, is mostly aggression focused. There's not a ton to consider here, with one major exception, and that's Outbursts of Rage. Outbursts of Rage is kind of what it sounds like. You can get additional rage from this skill. The Rage Cycle's really good for this pairing. I think Outbursts of Rage is an excellent choice for this pet. I'm going to get it. Okay, so you add the 3 Endurance talents as well as Outbursts of Rage, and then you add that to the talent skill, so you've got 5. I think that's the good base build. Now, depending on how many skill slots you have left, I think you really have 2 choices. The first choice is to go to the Hero Enhancement Counterattack package, all right? And those skills are Strength, Agility, and Luck based, okay? You have excellent Strength, decent Agility, terrible Luck. And the Strength skill increases the crit damage when you do a counterattack. What's your base crit rate? Your base crit rate is 0, so the Strength skill by itself is worthless. You have to add either hit back or blood for blood, or both, like these will stack on top of each other. This is okay. You know, counterattack when you're fighting a rally in the, in whatever building you're in, the counterattack is not that important, but it does help a lot when they try and swarm you because it punishes them very quickly for swarming you. Now, Kuma Garwood, they're not really the prime counterattack build, but there is some counterattack like talents you're going to take. They are an infantry legion. They do good counterattack damage, so these are okay. They're not amazing. Even when you get these up, you're only going to have a very low crit rate. And like I said, one of these is luck-based, so it's not that strong, but it is a decent choice if you have the skill slots. The other choice, the way I went, based on the fact that I caught it with a 1-star robust body, and that I have pretty good spirit, even though it's a bad, attribute for this type of pet, I just happen to roll it pretty good, and it's actually higher than my agility. I decided to go the other route. So I add robust body. That is like directly on plan. I wish my spirit was higher, but it is what it is. I think it is a good choice here. Then I added great care. There is a couple of small healing synergies with Kuma Garwood. Garwood has a couple, they're just not that amazing. His force skill gives him a chance to increase physical damage whenever he gets a heal, regardless of the strength of the heal. So even though Great Care's heal isn't very strong, it can proc this. Now, unfortunately, increasing my physical damage isn't really what I'm trying to do with Garwood, so the fact that I can proc this isn't that exciting to me, but, hey, it's something. The other synergy he has is Call of the Ancient Tree, which gives him additional healing, 30% flat boost when you have it maxed out. That's nice. Great Care isn't that important, but it's going to be slightly less bad thanks to Call of the Ancient Tree. All right, since I added those two, I only have one skill slot left. What am I going to do? I'm actually going to add a spirit-based skill, Pure Strength. What Pure Strength does is gives me a chance to remove debuffs from my march. Look, this ain't amazing, but it's my last skill slot. Why not? And I'm making this choice in part because even though Spirit is a bad attribute for the Stripe Bearer, I actually rolled it pretty good. All right, and this is the base build for, the row defense of a tree with Kuma Garwood Stripe Bearer, all right? And there is the alternate build taking out Robust Body, Great Care, and Pure Strength, and adding the Hero Enhancement Counterattack package. I think that is viable depending on the stats of your pet. Like I've said a few times, this is a good pet specifically for row. And why is it only good for row? Because in row, you don't care about the trade, you don't care about losing troops, you're just trying to survive as long as you possibly can. And this is the best pet to help you do that, particularly with a Kuma Garwood March. The other nice thing about this build is actually pretty cheap, right? The talent skill, you got to level that one up the same way you level anything up. But other than that, Counter-Strike is sort of a mid-tier price point. Everything else here is the low-tier price point, so you can get these up to pretty high star levels without breaking the bank, unlike your other high-tier pets, okay? Anyway, that's all I got for you today. And until next time, you stay classy, Belron.